Random thoughts. In this video, this is another random thoughts video, and I'm going to react to a comment that somebody left in one of the videos that I've done about the what is known as the Chitambe rebellion. I didn't know that's what it was called. I ran into this story of the rebellion of the Bukusu against the British colonial rule in 1894, 1895. And I found it to be very interesting. I came across the story in the book Kenya from a chartered company to a crown colony. This is a book that was published in 1929, and it's written by C.W. Hoblace. Now, C.W. Hoblace was a colonial administrator. He came to Kenya in 1890. He became a district commissioner, provisional commissioner, and served in several stations around what was known as the Kenyan colony. Now, in this book, he tells us about a campaign he participated in, and this was his very first assignment as a colonial administrator in Kenya. And it was a campaign against the Bukusu people. And Bukusus in 1890s had this habit of enticing potters. If you know the history of the East African Protectorate, there were these people who used to work for the Europeans. Most of them were Swahilis, and they would be used to carry luggage and also to provide security, and often they were armed. And when they reached western part of Kenya, the Bukusu leaders, including one whose name is Majanja, he mentions him as Majanja, they started enticing these porters to defect, to desert, and to leave their work and join them, and they will offer them cattle, and they preferred, if they come with guns because they wanted the guns. And that in 1890s was becoming very common, and the British did not like that. And so there was a time that they sent 25 Sudanese soldiers to go and demand a return of guns from Ajanja. Now, when these Sudanese soldiers who are working for the British go, they are attacked and all of them are killed. And so the British decide to go. Of course, they are not going to let that to just slide like that. And C.W. Hoblace and some guy who was called Spire and Grant and some other fellas whose names he provides, they go alongside soldiers from Buganda, from the Wanga, the Wasingishu Maasai, several groups of people provided soldiers. And this is 1894, 1895. And they attack the Bukusu, and it turns out to be a huge battle actually, and many are killed, and of course they capture cattle from the Bukusu as punishment. And yeah, so that came to be known as the Chitambe. And some people have told me that this is a story that is told to Bukusu people, young people, by their elders. And it is a story that has been told over and over and over throughout the generations that came after. And C.W. Hobley, of course, recorded it in his book that was published in 1929. He was present, actually. Now, somebody left me a comment saying that this is not taught in schools. And actually, I've studied history in primary. I studied history in high school. I did some units uh, in college, history units, but I did not see this. And so this person was basically insinuating that there was a conspiracy to keep some of these stories away and basically foreground the Mau Mau struggle. Now, I don't know whether I buy that there was a conspiracy, but I agree it's very suspicious that this, going by how Hobley describes this war that was fought between the British and the Bukusu, it was such a big resistance, it was just such a big event that he had to record it in detail in his book. And remember, as I've said, C.W. Hobley served as a district commissioner, provisional commissioner, and he stayed around for close to 30 years. And of all the events that he saw or he participated in, this became one of those that he needed to explain in detail in his book, which tells you it was such a huge event. And then hearing that the Bukusu young people are taught about this, especially during circumcision period, then you are left with it's a little bit suspicious. Why is this event not appearing in many of the historical textbooks that we read in school? So I don't know what you think. Uh, do you think there was a conspiracy? And of course, if you say conspiracy, then it will be like maybe it's a conspiracy that happened immediately after independence, to make the Mau Mau struggle be more feasible and to be talked a lot more than, say, the Chitambe rebellion. I don't want to, while it's suspicious to me, I don't want to cross over and say there was a conspiracy. I think the Mau Mau stands out because it happened as the very last um, major rebellion that happened. The Bukusu rebellion was actually the very first rebellion that happened. Kenya became a protectorate in 1894, and towards the end of that year, the beginning of 1895, the Bukusus were fighting with the British, and the Bukusus managed to basically annihilate an entire force of the British that had been sent to one Majanja. So I think Mau Mau stands out because it was the last one. Of course, there are others in the middle there that happened, and sometimes they are mentioned among, I think, is it the Taitas or the Mijikendas? I think they are those that are mentioned. Maybe they are not talked about as much as the Mau Mau is talked about, even though some of them seems to have been really major events. And I see why this might turn out to be a very sensitive topic as far as whether the Mau Mau was foregrounded or given prominence in historical textbooks, and then the others basically just disappear. Because um, it there is a narrative that has emerged over the years out of, especially when, because Kenya is very tribal or very ethnic. Our politics are very ethnic based. There is no secret about that. And sometimes Mau Mau becomes something that some people might interpret in a certain way, especially when considering who has the right to do what in the country. Some people might say, you people did not fight the British. We did, and you people were just there. So I think when we see such a story like the Chitambe Rebellion, then of course, we are like, yeah, this was also a major. It was just like Mau Mau War. There is no major difference between them, except that the Chitambe Wars happened at the beginning, while the Mau Mau happened at the end. But both were equally um, resistance against the colonial rule in Kenya. As far as whether it's a conspiracy, I'm not, it's suspicious, but I'm not ready to cross over and say, yeah, it is a conspiracy. It's just that the Mau Mau happened in a specific time. The timing of it must have informed a lot how it is covered in history. And the Chitambe wars happened in a particular time. And also other rebellions that happened, the Taita, the Kisis with Otenyo, the Nandi with the Orgoyot, um, all that. The Maasai actually had their own rebellion at some point. Yeah, so I don't think there's a conspiracy, but it's a little bit suspicious. I give you that. Those are my random thoughts.